I will continue to fight to ensure that we have as many officers as we can on the streets of Los Angeles. You know, when I look back at my last a little over 7 years and look at what we've been able to accomplish in Sherman Oaks, there are some extraordinary efforts. One that is in the process is a brand new, the first green, state-of-the-art senior center here in Los Angeles. And as a council member, you find that there's a lot of things you do that you don't get to see the fruits of your labor until after you're gone, but it is important to move forward on that. We have worked, and I look at Nancy because she's sitting there and where we met, on Library Square, albeit it has been a challenge over the years to make these changes, and the Best Buy negotiations, and thank you for the kudos on putting money in. It was very important for us to do that, but to be able to address those issues. And on the PPD, we will work with that. I was just talking about what we need to do if there's something we need to do before we left. The biggest challenge will be funding, but if we can get all of the approvals, and I know that you've had the signatures, they've done some of the research that we can move forward on that. We also have worked hard at increasing traffic and pedestrian safety, unfortunately not to the benefit there on Riverside, but on installing traffic lights and smart crosswalks. And that, in fact, in our district, when we look at the fact, we've had 3 traffic lights, smart crosswalks. Just in my district alone, there were only 4 installed in the entire city last year, separate from the ones that I did. And so we fought very hard to make sure that we did that. Also, we have started over 150 neighborhood watch groups, looked at illegal dumping items. We have opened new recreation and parks facilities and open space. We've been able to, with the Park Advisory Board and Prop K funds, to make some changes at the Van Nuys Sherman Oaks Park. My son plays pitch tee there and quite enjoys it. It's a great park for all of you in this region. We also have, on a grander scheme, business tax reform that we've been able to do, making sure that we have sidewalk repair in the city of Los Angeles, and most importantly, dealing with the quality of life issues that impact you every single day. Now, as I move to controller, I know that I won't necessarily tell people what they want to hear, but I'm going to tell them what they need to hear. I'm not always going to be their friend, but I am going to be the person who says, when I go into an audit and look at a department, what the facts are and how we can make Los Angeles better. And that is everything from auditing our transportation department. It is looking at sacrifices that we're going to have. It is going to ensure that not only that we have audits that are out there and we do the big event and press conference, but they actually get implemented. I cannot tell you how many audits that have been done where the departments have said, oh yes, we will do that, we will implement that, and you never see that accomplished. I am going to have a accountability list, a scorecard that shows which audits have been implemented. I am going to have action items that will be specific to the mayor and the council and the departments, and where you can go online and actually look to see if they have accomplished it. And that, I think, is about transparency. And, you know, one of the other items that is my pet peeve is surplus property. Now, in the city of Los Angeles, there's a current policy, albeit we have waived it for the last 2 years, but it's still on the books, because I fought to waive it the last 2 years and I want to permanently get rid of it, which says that if a piece of property that is owned by the city is sold, 50% of the proceeds go to the general fund and 50% go to the council member whose district it is in. Now, I consider that a slush fund for a council office. I think in tough times, this money needs to go into the general fund. Because, I'll give you an example. I picked a bad time to make this policy because, of course, I had 2 properties come up for sale during this period of time, but I believed in it. One is the animal shelter on Sherman Way, which I got my dog there when I was 4 years old, which, let me tell you, was a long time ago. It wasn't in Council District 2 at that time. It wasn't bought with Council District 2 money. The fire station that's there at Coldwater next to the Sportsman's Lodge, that is going to be sold. It wasn't in my district just a few years ago. It was in Jack Weiss's district. There's no real reason why it shouldn't go back to the general fund and help us balance the budget to pay for your streets and your sidewalks And so I am doing an audit that will begin, and my council members on my council now know this, that will show what kinds of properties have been sold and where it went in the city of Los Angeles. And there's nothing more dynamic and thought-provoking than the facts that show where the money went. And so please, that's a little bit of a peek on one of the things that we're going to be looking at. I want to talk about some basics that are here today. One is the gentleman who spoke about Mammoth Avenue. I don't know where he went. He's here, Mammoth in the back. Okay. I'm very familiar with that project on it because we put it forward with the MTA call for projects to be able to widen that Moore Park. I'm sorry?
John Franks wasn't aware of it at all.
Well, I don't know why he wasn't aware of it because we put it in the call for projects. The challenge that we have right now is eminent domain for one of the pieces of property because a lot of unfortunately, when the city went in there, they didn't have all the easements and property rights there many, many years ago when things were built. And so we have eminent domain proceedings. Dale and Evan are going to look into where we are in that eminent domain. That's what's holding us up. We have the design. We have the money from the MTA, from the last call for projects.
Okay, can you please hold the comments and that after the meeting? Oh.
Yeah, no, and I will talk to you afterwards, but I think that the part of the MTA call for projects included some funding for the actual purchase of that property on that street. Additionally, Lexi mentioned to me that we have called Building and Safety on numerous occasions to ask them to get the owner to cut the bushes, but we have to wait a period of time for the owner to actually cut them, and then if they don't comply, then we cite them, and then it kind of is a vicious process, but I just want you to know that it is on our list. It was mentioned as well on Westfield. It had been my hope that Westfield and Macy's would have completed their negotiations and we would have gone forward with something actually being acted on by the City Council. But what we have committed to, and I know that there's been discussions just today with Westfield about neighborhood protection plans, and additionally about ensuring that the neighborhoods and the traffic mitigations are set forward. So we will be meeting with Soha and Westfield in the next couple of weeks. I will put in writing the kinds of commitments that we think is necessary for that with Westfield and continue to go forward with that. Again, Dale, who is very familiar with this, is sticking around, and when I asked him what he was going to do and I would help him wherever he wanted to go, he said to me, there are too many things that are important to Council District 2 that I think need someone to watch over, and I'm going to stay. And so I thank him for that particularly. So, Dale, so you will be there to buzz on that. And I think that, as many of you may recall when I spoke, whether it was a year ago or one of the other times with Westfield, I shopped there and I said, right now, I asked everyone to raise their hand, how many of you think there's horrible traffic at the Westfield Mall? Okay, we all do, right? Okay. And how many would like to see something to change so it's better? Okay. That is the win-win that we want to have at that location, and the ability to do that, because it is the design of that current project that has been disastrous. I'm old enough, I went there when it was open air, I loved it when it was there, it was a wonderful mall, and it's changed dramatically since then, but it's going to be about the entrance and exits. The crosswalk that is here, and I'm not sure if it was mentioned probably not last month, the DOT came to our office and came with us with two different, someone's having fun out there, two different